if you want to speak to Steve the Bin Man, 01983 822 002. He's here, he's live, and he really is real. Right, we're back. We've got Arthur and Derek, who are through to Steve Jones the Bin Man. Hello, Derek.
Hello there. Just one question. What's going to happen when all the landfills are full? You know, we're on about recycling at the moment.
Yeah, it's a good point. Derek wants to know, what are landfill sites? What are we going to do when they're all full up, Steve?
Well, that's what they've got problems with at the moment, isn't it? That's why they're encouraging people to recycle as much waste as they can.
How do you, as a bin man and a former bin man, as a knowledge expert on the bins and actual waste management, does it affect you when you're out there picking stuff up, having to sort it all out and recycle it? It must be a bit of a pain, isn't it?
Well, when I was on the bins, we didn't sort anything. It just went straight in the back of the lorry.
And
we
it,
took
of
it to a
course,
transfer station.
When
and
I
it went to landfill.
When I met you, I said to you about the house I owned that was full of tongue and groove.
That's
I said
correct.
the whole house was full of it, and it filled my back garden when I stripped all this stuff out. And in those days, you could have a word with the bin man, give them a few bob, and they would take the lot away.
That was
They
in the
actually
good old
filled
days,
this thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you take bungs, Steve?
My round, very, very, very seldom. We didn't have a wonderful area, but some of the gangs
Used
Did
to
all
do
right.
quite
in the
well
old
from
days, they used to
shopkeepers
pick
and
Anything
stuff.
else you
We
want to
didn't
ask,
do
Derek?
shops.
Well, no, not really. Just, you know, what's going to happen? Is there like a national place, you know, like you've got the Motor Museum at Bewley, is there a
Good idea.
centralised place for these dust carts, for all the ones that, you know, are long forgotten?
Well, there's quite a few restored ones. We've got our own Shelve Oak and Drury Preservation Society, and there's actually a website. I don't know anything about computers myself, but I can tell you what the
It's
website...
www.shelveoak-drury, that's DREWRY.co.uk. Go and have a look on that website.
And we're going to try and get some shots of your dust cart at the end of the show, because I've just been outside to the pasty wagon actually and seen it, and I remember it from the motor show, and it's fantastic. So maybe at the end of the show we'll get some shots of the TV of you pulling away and waving. Hi, Arthur.
Yeah, good afternoon, chap.
Now you should have a lot in common with this guy, because you're weird. You collect post boxes, and he collects anything to do with dust carts.
Well, it's a quintessential British thing again, isn't it, eh? Collecting things.
Great British
English
eccentrics.
eh?
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
These Shelve Oak and Drury vehicles, they were actually all built in Britain, hand-built. They were like the Rolls-Royce of refuse vehicles. Everything was built by hand
Sadly, it
in
doesn't.
Britain.
I've driven it. Sadly, it doesn't actually drive like a Rolls-Royce.
Anyway, what did you want to say, Arthur?
What I was going to say is, right, bearing in mind this hell-bent, hell for leather thing that the government and the council seem to have lately for recycling and sorting your stuff out into myriads of different receptacles, I can foresee a day when there will not be a dust cart, when you'll have to take all your stuff to the tip yourself. Let's cut out the middleman. That's the way it seems to be going to me.
Steve?
Yeah, it's long changed from when I was originally on the bins. Obviously, we've got the recycling now, and it's, in my opinion, it is a very good thing. We've got to split down the commodities, what we can recycle. On the Isle of Wight, obviously, we're a bit of a unique place, because we've got the recycling plant at Forest Road, where the dust carts empty their loads. So a lot of that waste is actually turned into flock fuel. But they take out the bottles with your recycling boxes, the rags, and your newspapers and magazines. They don't actually collect cardboard.
No?
You see, Steve, all this stuff is all fine and dandy, right? But when I was a kid, my mum used to get all the newspapers, put them all together, tie them all up in string, and the dustman would put it in a cage on top of the cab.
Yeah, so recycling isn't anything new, is it?
But then they came along and said, it costs too much money to do this.
Yes.
We don't want all your papers. Right? So then suddenly, you've got to recycle them all again. So I'm kind of wondering whether the country is falling for the free card trick in a lot of this stuff. You know, just a way of cutting down on the actual services provided on the grounds of being economical with your staff, or
Environmentally friendly, yeah.
Exactly. And this is what I worry about, because I know for a fact that if you take your stuff, say you're taking your building stuff to the tap, right? And Pat the Builder said this before, if you go in there and have to pay, you don't put it in the recycling, you tip it in the ground, whether it's recyclable or not. Now surely that's a nonsense. If the stuff's recyclable, whether it be bricks or a bit of timber or whatever, surely the whole thing should be recycled, rather than saying, well, because you're paying for it, no, you can't recycle it, throw it in the hole in the ground.
There are places on the island who will take brick, rubble and concrete and actually recycle it or crush it down for concrete.
And then they pay you to take it, and then they sell it to someone else, don't they?
Oh, yeah, no,
That's good business.
I don't doubt that. What I'm saying is that if say, for example, David, you go down the dump with a bag full of rubble, you can drive in and you can chuck it in the respective skips, do your little bit for the society, etc., and that's fine and dandy. But if Pat the Builder or myself goes down there with a load of rubble from work...
Yeah, trade waste.
Go over the weighbridge, yeah, pay the fee, yep.
Yeah, but it then goes into the landfill. Well, it's the same sort of stuff, isn't it? It's still recyclable.
Yep.
But it's because we've paid our council tax and we're entitled to a certain amount of rubbish. Steve, you are a licensed waste carrier, aren't you?
I am indeed, yes.
How did you get that licence, Steve?
You apply for the Environment Agency when I started the business. You can't actually take anyone else's rubbish on your vehicle unless you've got the licence.
But would you need one for your restored car or not?
No, I don't actually carry waste on it. I don't...
Well, we know that because we tried to put a few black bags in the back of it and you wouldn't let us.
Did you hear earlier, this guy, he was working for Hounslow Council as a bin man, I guess in the 80s. Was this Steve?
88.
88?
Yeah, I actually went on the dust in 87.
Well, I've
He
got
was on the
hang
dust
on,
in
hang
87.
on.
Now, hang on a minute, before you get the letter out.
That
But he
is-
would come down to the Isle of Wight for his holidays,
That's the
beautiful
day.
Sandown Bay in the summer,
I went
in the
on to the
1980s, and then he would bring his own overalls and help out the Isle of Wight dustman. Do you think that's normal?
Well, I can't honestly say that I would go and help the postman deliver the letters, but I can understand it, shall we say. I know of guys that used to work on the railways that would go, and in their holiday and spare time, they would go and assist on preserved railway lines, and the same with bus drivers. So I can understand...
And you are a single guy, aren't you, Steve? So it's not like... have you always been single?
Yeah.
You never had a woman drove her away through your love of dust carts?
No.
Right, okay.
Well, that would be a good twist of the story, see, Steve?
No.
What I've also got to ask you, because it's now come up, is according to these letters, I've got some letters from Hounslow confirming your appointment.
Thank you, Arthur.
Thank you, Arthur. First of all, in 1980, confirming your appointment following a 24-week probationary period. Very cautious with their assistant gardeners, weren't they, in those days? In the Parks Division.
Yep.
But knowing your age, it seemed to me that it was like 10 years after you left school. Did you leave school in about 78? 79?
Probably.
Yeah,
Where did you go to
78,
school?
80. Oh, in Feltham, yeah.
In Feltham? All right. It took you 10 years from that. With that,
actually get onto
despite
the
your
dust cart.
passion, having this passion, as you said, before you were even 5, you were passionate about it. It took you 10 years to get on those bins. I mean, you must have been itching to get on
Well,
those
can
carts.
I just say that
There
when
wasn't the vacancies.
when I was at school, you were threatened if you didn't, and I don't, no disrespect
I know
to
what you're gonna
binmen.
say.
If
Yeah.
you don't do your work and you don't knuckle down, you'll end up on the bins.
I worked with a guy who used to get that at home from his mum and dad. Like,
Do you know,
he
this
said,
is
now I'm
honest-
working with a guy who wants to get on the dust.
I swear this is true. At school, I was not a good boy at school, and they used to say to me, "You will be lucky to get a job when you leave school. If you don't do this, don't do that." Lucky to get a job as a road sweeper, and I swear this is true. When I left school, 16 years of age in April, whatever the year was, can't remember, slips my mind. I went straight down to the council, applied for a job on the one of those carts to be a road sweeper, and they declined my offer, my application, because it made a great story. But the truth was, you had to be 18 to be a road sweeper. They really trusted you.
Yeah, and to work on the dust carts.
Why was
Yeah,
that then?
insurance purposes.
01983822022. He's Steve the bin man. He's got his orange overalls on and his dust cart is outside. This man lives and breathes dust carts. 01983822022.
When we come back, we're going to ask you about your house, the shrine.
Oh, yes, the dust shrine. All right, we're back with Steve the binman. And what have you brought in with you today, Steve?
I bought some photographs of days gone by on the dust carts.
You got a potted plant down there.
Oh, I've got a little something for you there. Would you like it now?
Yeah.
Was it a present?
It's a surprise. He wanted to give it to you at the Mega Wheels show.
But you was a bit busy. You'll like this.
Hand
Here
it
is.
over.
All right, okay.
You've got to read the label out aloud. No, not that one.
Layers pellets.
No, that's chicken food.
Chicken
read the
feed.
plant. Pull it out the bag.
What we get paid, you know.
Parky, Michael Parkinson had a rose named after him at the Chelsea Flower Show yesterday. So,
Well, you was on about them, so I might as well bring you one.
The Blue Moon.
oh, the Blue Moon Rose. That's very kind of you, Steve.